Hello and welcome to week one of our course. In this upcoming week of our course, we'll be covering communication theories and principles. So as you're going to see in this first week of our class, we'll be spending some time doing some introductions at the beginning of class. I'm going to share a little bit about myself. I will also talk about my approach to teaching and how I approach every class. And we'll also do an overview of the different assessments in the class. You're going to see pretty early on that it's very important for me to let students know exactly what's coming up in the class. And to that end, I'm very structured in my approach to teaching in that I really like to lay out what's expected of students and talk about the assessments that are coming up and to explain them in detail. Now, I'll be sure to talk quite a bit more about this in person on our first day of class. So what I would like you to do to get ready for this first week of class, what you'll find is that getting ready for each week of the class will follow a very similar process. By Thursday at 5 p.m., so that's a very important time to remember in our class, Thursday at 5 p.m., I always post all of the material that you need for the following week of our course up on that stream site. So what that means is for the first week of our class, when you go to that page now, you'll see that I have this introductory video. I also post what I call guiding questions. Now these are questions that I use for all of my courses for each class session. I always begin each class session with guiding questions. And those are questions that I am using to frame our class lecture and our class discussion. So when you look at the guiding questions, what they are there questions that I am pulling out of the material as I have prepared for our course, and also knowing what's coming up on our assessments. And those are questions that are pulling out what I am highlighting is important from our material. What my past students have told me many, many times is that they like to go back over those guiding questions and to make sure that they can answer them by the end of the first or whatever week of the class is that they've looked at those questions. So I use those guiding questions to both organize myself and to structure our class, but also as a self-review tool for students so they can make sure that they're understanding the major points, theories, and concepts from the class. So very similar to our upcoming weeks of class in this week one, when by Thursday at 5 p.m. before that class, you'll be able to see this intro video, the guiding questions. I'll have a list of concepts that are important for that class session. I'll also have a list of tasks that you should be doing for that week. So those are just lists of reminders, assignments that you should be doing, or any other news that I want you to be aware of that you want to make sure to have done by the end of the week. So let me talk in a little bit of detail about this first week. So you're watching this intro video, and many of my past students have also told me that they find it very helpful to hear me talk through in everyday language about what's coming up in the class and the talk through assignments. So that's what I'll do for you all semester. So to get ready for this first week of class, what I'd like you to do is to go ahead and definitely read the course guide that you can find on our welcome page, which is the first page or the first tab on our course stream site. If you need to print out the readings, go ahead and make sure to do that, but you can download all of those readings from that first page up on our stream site. You're going to see that over the 12 weeks of our semester, we have 3 readings per class session. All of those are in PDF form. What you also want to do is review our course learning outcomes. You'll see that every course that you take at Massey has overall learning outcomes or objectives that it's hoped that you'll want to gain from that class. Each of the assessments that you'll be completing in this class will reflect one or more of these class outcomes. Learning outcomes, I should say, and I'll be sure to explain this as I introduced every assignment in class. What you also want to do as you get ready for week one is to look at our class stream site and just familiarize yourself with its structure, how I'm organizing every week on our stream site, looking at what I call learning resources that I'm posting under every week. So that means guiding questions, this list of tasks, extra videos or multimedia links that I'm posting, handouts that I post on every week. Look at the class intro page, which is the first tab on our class stream site, and just see the kinds of content that I'm posting there, where I have the course guide, where I have the study plan, or in other words, the schedule and dates with due dates of our assessments and when you have to have the readings completed by. And look at guiding questions that I have under each week, and also look at discussion forums as well for particularly for the class that you'll find under the Communication Tools website. I'll say more about this in a bit, and also for the oral presentations. I would also encourage you to read the course guide and to make sure that you understand the requirements for all the different assessments in our class. So you'll see there's 3 major assessments in our class, with the first assessment split into a written and an oral presentation component. Now, if that seems overwhelming, do not worry about this, because I will be explaining this in detail as we begin our class and as we go through every assessment as it happens in our class. So what I'd like you to do now is, for this week, by the end of this first week of class, which will be on the Sunday, 3rd of March at 10 p.m., I would like you to do several things. First of all, I would like you to, read through the course guide, read through assignment 1, which you'll see is due at the end of March. And just to make sure that you have the due date, all of our assessments are always due on a Friday on stream. So that's the written components of the assessments. So the first assessment is due at the end of week 5 in our class, and that is Friday, the 29th of March, and the written academic essay will be due on the Dropbox for assignment 1 on stream. I will share more how we're getting ready for that. But for now, just know that up on our stream page, I will place a separate page for assignment 1 that will cover the assignment in detail. We'll have helpful handouts for that assignment, and you'll also see that I'll have samples of past student work for each of the assignments that we'll be working on. Students often tell me they find it very helpful to see past examples. So coming back to what I was saying, in this week 1, you're going to see that the first assignment, which is due on the 29th of March, actually has 2 different components. So the first component is this academic essay that you'll be submitting on the 29th of March. The second component includes 2 oral presentations that you will be making related to overall topics that we'll be covering in our class. What I would like you to do, and you'll see the link up on this stream page for week 1, is I'd like you to click on the online sign-up sheet and sign up for 2 different times in which you would like to present on the overall topic. So you'll see when you look down through that schedule of possible time slots that the topics will be the overall topics for that class in general. So perception is one topic that we'll be looking at. Another topic we'll be looking at, like for example in week 5, will be verbal communication. So you want to sign up for 2 overall time slots. I'll definitely explain this in more detail during our first class session, but I'm going to ask you to sign up for 2 time slots by Sunday, the 3rd of March at 10 p.m. So that gives you a few days after our class where I've explained the assignment, where you can think more about it and then have some time to sign up. I ask that you have no more than 2 presenters on each day. And if you are presenting on the same day as someone else, which you probably will be, depending on our class enrollment, what I'll ask is that the students confer with each other to make sure that they're not explaining or presenting on the same exact material. Again, I will explain this in great detail during our first week of class. Secondly, by the end of week 1, or in other words, by the 3rd of March on Sunday at 10 p.m., I would like each of you to go and download the several things. I'd like you to download the student info sheet, which you can find at the bottom of our first page, our class welcome page, to type it in, fill it out that way, and then submit that on the Dropbox at the bottom of that page, that same page, by Sunday, the 3rd of March at 10 p.m. Your information on this student info sheet is so important to me. I can't even emphasize that enough. It tells me what your past work experience has been, if you had it. It tells me what elements you have found, what are some elements of the best courses that you've taken, the best instructors that you've had. How do you best learn in a class? What kind of multimedia do you need to help you learn best? What would you like to get from this class? I find these info sheets so helpful because then I can design the course around your needs and the ways that I can best help you learn the material. Now, also during week 1, I'd like you to go to our Student Introductions discussion forum. Now, you'll find that Introductions forum on the Communication Tools tab page on our stream site. And I just would like to upload a brief paragraph where you introduce yourself on that page. As part of that process of introducing yourself, I also ask that you go to your stream profile page and just make sure that your email address is correct on that page because that's your registered email address with the university. Along with that, just a side note is that we have an overall announcements discussion forum that all of you are subscribed to automatically as being a student in this class. But if you'd like to subscribe to the other forums, you need to go on yourself and make sure that you're subscribed. So look at our Communication Tools page, and as part of that, just look for a document that I've posted on that page that has guidance on how you subscribe to the discussion forums or unsubscribe. So what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is just introduce the guiding questions for week 1. You're going to see on the first day of class that I will be framing our class around these same guiding questions, and I'll show them on a slide very early on in our class session. So our guiding questions for week 1 are, what are the objectives and learning outcomes of this course? It's a very important question we'll be looking at again and again in our class. Secondly, what is a theory? And how is a theory different from an inference? And what is a model? Thirdly, what are the major models of communication that are covered in this week's reading? And how do the models differ from each other? Fourth, how can different models of communication help us understand how we share and perceive verbal and nonverbal communication? Now, I wanted to say a moment that our course overall is using an overall model of communication. So I will be sharing that on our first day of class. And if you go to our class, our welcome page, if you scroll down, you're going to see that I've highlighted what that model is, constructionism theory of communication. And that will be an overall model we'll be using in our class, and I'll share that in more detail during week 1, our first class session. If you scroll down further on our stream page on week 1, you'll see that I've listed key concepts and topics that we'll be focusing on in week 1. And if you scroll down further, you'll see that I have posted a learning guide already. You can go ahead and open that up, and you'll see that it's a series of questions for you to reflect on as you do the reading and get ready for our class session. And shortly after our first class session, this goes for all of our class sessions, I will post the slides for that class session up on stream. I don't generally post slides before the class session, but I post them shortly after because I'm trying to encourage students to take notes in the class, but we can talk more about that if you'd like to. And if also, as you scroll even further down on the week 1 page, you'll see that in every week of our class, whenever I reference videos in class or I show web pages, I always post links to that information on this section where it's like additional resources related to the class. And I also post additional resources for students who would like to do more research on their own on the materials that we've covered in class. So in our first class, I'm going to talk quite a bit about assignment one particularly, and I'll be talking more about those oral presentations. And I'll also be talking about how we are using the discussion forums around those different oral presentations. And then lastly, I'll be talking about the different communication tools in our class and what we'll be using them for. So any questions that you have in the meantime, please let me know. I'm definitely going to be checking email quite a bit. And just one last thing while I'm still thinking about it. My contact details are near the front of our course guide. And I do want to emphasize that I'm really flexible to meet or talk with you at a time that's convenient with you. You'll see on my course guide that I do have office hours that are Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And I do commute to campus from Upper Hutt. So I don't work full-time from the office for that very reason, but that doesn't mean I'm not available. What that means is I'm working from home. So as you can see on the course guide, you're welcome to contact me by my mobile phone, which many students have done. I'm also very happy to communicate by Skype, WhatsApp, or FaceTime. Often students find it really helpful to be able to see each other when we're talking, so I'm always happy to do that. And just let me know if you have any questions and you want to schedule an appointment, and if you anything comes up for you during this semester. Well, I really look forward to meeting you during the first class. I really enjoy teaching this class. I'll share a little bit more about myself in the first class. I remember when I was a student, I often found it helpful to learn more about my instructors and to learn that they're people too, and we have outside interests. And one thing I will share with you is that I'm in the process of shifting house. And by the time I meet with you, I will have recently shifted to a new house. And so that's been very exciting. It's a little crazy trying to do that at this time, but I'll share more about my experiences in Wellington and why we're particularly excited about this new residence that we're going to be having, and also about where we'll be living in Wellington. It's just a really great city. I look forward to talking with you more about it as well, if you're new to the area. So any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you during our first day of class. Thanks.